He said it's just gonna be us three.
Okay.
So he said you can open the door if you want to.
Was that Coach?
Yeah. I got him on the line.
Hey, Coach, can you hear?
Mic check. Coach, can you hear? Well, tell him to call back. Because I see he's still on the line, but
Call back.
yeah. Hey man, what's up? What's happening? You already know who it is and what it is. It's your boy Nephew Q, host of the world's most dangerous sports show, Beyond the Game. And if this is your first time tuning in via all the Facebook lives and Twitter lives and YouTube lives and all the lives, come in, sit down and cop a squat and hang out with us for a little bit. But anyways, y'all already know who it is and what it is I got in the building with me. I got my constituent, my homeboy, my brother from another mother, because we both root for the same basketball teams out this joint. We both Lakers fans.
Not true, my brother.
It's not?
Sacramento all the way, man.
Oh, that's your second team?
That's my first.
That's your, okay. Well, Sacramento Kings is his 1A. Lakers is his 1B. We got Ralph Clay in the building. Clay, what's happening with you, big dog?
What's up, world?
Man.
And the Pelicans had them. They let them off the hook.
They were who we thought they were.
They
were who we thought they were. But anyways, and then we got in the building, we got Lexington journalist, legend, Oscar in the building. Oscar, what's happening to the people, man?
What's happening with you people?
There it is, straight like that. And today we do have a special guest on the line right now. We have another OG in the game. So we have former UK men's assistant basketball coach, Doug Barnes, on the line right now. Coach, are you still there with us? Hey, how you doing there, Coach?
I'm doing great. Just got through with a great game with tennis, and so fortunate to still be playing it. But it's a fun game.
All right. So for those who don't know and might be unfamiliar, Coach Barnes was an assistant coach under Eddie Sutton, and he's also the owner of Papa Lock. And he was gracious enough to give us some of his time today. So we want to start from way back yesteryear, bring you all the way up to the Cal years. So my question, this is Quentin, by the way, my question to you is, how did you come upon the job of coaching at UK? Where were you at before, and how did you get the opportunity to coach at UK?
Well, it may have been the jump of a lifetime from a career standpoint. I was the head coach at the University of Arkansas at Monticello. That at that time was the NAIAT. They're now Division II NCAA, and it was in Monticello, Arkansas, and it was in a league that had 9 other teams. And believe it or not, it's really a pretty tough league. And I really got fortunate in life because this is my first head coaching job. And they had not won in 18 years, and they did not have much of a following. So for the first year or two, I made my mistakes in front of about 54 people, and instead of on national television. And since then, I've been very grateful that happened and stuff. But eventually, got it turned around, got lucky, and had ended up with some good players. My claim to fame there was there was this young man that was 20 minutes away from Monticello that wanted to come to school there on a scholarship, but I told him he needed to walk on, and that guy happened to be Scottie Pippen.
Oh, wow.
So that probably would have changed my career a little bit if I had made that move. But anyway, I was there 9 years. Of course, I was on scholarship at Oklahoma State and had the opportunity to practice a lot with Mr. Iva. And from there was the connection with Coach Sutton, because, he played at Oklahoma State. And over the years I was there, they sent a couple players to me that really helped my program. And so when he got the position here, I just started bugging him about coming here. And finally in August, he offered a job, and I got here. So going from that level to the University of Kentucky, not too many people get to make that kind of jump.
Hold on, Oscar, before you get, I want to ask him. So you mean to tell me you turned away the greatest Chicago Bulls player ever, Scottie Pippen? What made you turn him away?
Why would you say that?
Well, I mean, there's a story to it.
This guy.
Number one, he was about the third best player. They won state. He was out of a town called Hamburg, Arkansas. Had a real good program. Scotty had been to my camps. I had summer camps, and but the problem was he was 6'1" at that time, and he was a 6'1" semi-guard forward type of deal, and but what I didn't know is, and I found out later in life, he had a 7'1" brother that I played pickup ball with. I just didn't know they were brothers.
Wow, I did not know that.
The bottom line is he went to University of Central Arkansas because his high school coach played for Don Dyer, who was the coach there, and so he went there as a manager. And I remember just like it was yesterday, they were in our league. We go up to play them, and this is about the first week in January. And, in fall college, your buddies, it's not like big time. And so I go in to see Coach Dyer, and I'm walking down this hall, and this young man walks by me and says, "Hey, Coach Barnes." And I said hello, and I walk in the office, and Coach Dyer, Don said, he said, "You didn't recognize that kid, did you?" I said, "Well, he kind of looks familiar." And he said, "That's Scottie Pippen." And I said, "Don, Scottie's 6'1", that kid's 6'6". And he just laughed and said, "Yeah." And he sent me up tonight. It's in his first game that he got figured up and stuff. So anyway, the surprising thing, we played against them for 2 years, and before I came to UK, Scottie never really had that great a game against us. So
Coach, this is Oscar.
Would really dominate that level, but we had some pretty good players and stuff. So anyway.
Well, Coach, this is Oscar. I got to ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I got to ask you. You're telling us and the audience, did you have to come here and beg Coach Sutton for a job? Is that what I heard you say a moment ago?
Well, I didn't beg him. I just applied.
Okay, just trying to set the record straight.
Oh,
I can tell you. Later when I got here, my job was to put together a letter to send to all the people that didn't get the job. And I don't know, it was probably at least 80 or 90 of those. But the common ingredient was, and that happens a lot in jobs, he probably knew me the best of all the people. So I was fortunate. But careers are funny. I had turned down previously that same summer to be an assistant at Rice. A friend of mine was the head coach, and I almost took it. And the person that took that job 2 years later became the head coach.
Well, Coach, you remind me of what Izzo once told me about. You said, did you use the word fortunate, which means luck? He said, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So you were prepared to receive the opportunity.
Right.
I was, but to be honest, you talk about overwhelming. To come to UK, and I didn't get there until the last of August. But my first year, I was just kind of overwhelmed, so to speak, as far as the magnitude of the program, and I guess the other thing is you're so busy, you're not out anywhere. You're not out in the town or whatever. And I stayed in, Wildcat Lodge at the apartment there. Anyway, later in life, I realized how big it was at other places because once you get out in the community and stuff, so it can be a little bit overwhelming.
Well, I remember what Coach Sutton said about that. He said he knew the program was big, but he didn't know the program was that big. Was that your impression also?
Well, yeah. I mean, because everybody always heard it. I mean, even I grew up in Oklahoma, and then of course it's in Arkansas for 14 years. I was a graduate assistant at Arkansas State for a couple of years. So, but you know, you always heard of Kentucky, but you just let you experience it and was able to physically go to a game there. It's kind of hard to understand how big it is in the state.
Hey, Coach, this is Ralph here. So going into that first season, being an assistant coach with the team that you had, I'm just looking at the overall record of 32-4. I'm looking at an SEC record of 17-1. I'm looking at big names like Kenny Walker and Winston Bennett. Can you just go into that first season and the talent that you had on that team and the success that you guys had? I know you guys did end up losing in the Elite Eight, but just give us an overall view of that team and how things were that season in your experience.
Well, and again, it's my first time working for Coach Sutton. So, and quite honestly, you know, for Leonard Hamilton, that was his first year because, you know, Leonard stayed on that first year. And then Wayne Breeden was kind of another assistant. So, you know, Coach brought with him James Dickey. And so it was really, you know, a tremendous learning experience because I had to get familiar with his different language and different drills and all this. However, you know, Coach was about 80 to 85% Mr. Iva. So it wasn't. At once I kind of got understanding that, you know, this is really not that much different than some of what I did, and of course what I experienced with Mr. Iva. So that in some ways helped me, but it was really a tremendous learning experience. You know, I didn't recruit. My job was scouting and game preparation, and so you talk about an experience. I ended up getting to scout all the different SEC teams, and so you know, not only was I learning from Coach Sutton, but I was also learning from, you know, Dale Brown and I think Wimp was in there. I can't remember. Of course, Denny Crum was at Louisville, and it was a tremendous learning experience for sure.
Yeah, I believe Coach Smith of Auburn was there too.
I'm sorry.
Coach Smith from Auburn was there too in that mix.
Sure was.
Hey, Coach, hang on the line with us. We're going to take a quick commercial break on Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM. When we come back, I want to talk to you about some of those scouting reports and who are some of the players that you had to scout with. You was like, man, we're going to be in for a long night. We're going to get into that when we come back from this commercial break on Beyond the Game. Are you a teenage driver, Ralph?
No, sir. I'm past that. About to be 40.
I'm about to have a teenage driver. Already let it drive a little bit.
How old is you?
15. She just turned 15 this month.
I turned 12 on Friday, bro. I still got a couple more years, man. Goodness.
Don't care. They told me it's a delay button on here somewhere.
You ain't found it yet.
Nah, it's at the top somewhere. Welcome back to Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM. We are currently chatting with former UK men's basketball assistant head coach Doug Barnes. And before we left for commercial break, he mentioned that, you know, he was assistant coach in charge of scouting. So I want to ask you, Coach Barnes, who were some of those players that you scouted to where you was like, yeah, we're going to be in for a long night tonight?
Well, and to follow up through on the other question, I didn't really answer like I should have. But the bottom line is, we had Kenny Walker, Winston Bennett, and then James Blackman, Ed Dasner, Roger Harden was our starting lineup. And of course, we had Cedric Jenkins and Rob Locke and Keith. Madison. I forget his first name, and then we also had. Amazing thing we did. We went through the whole season and started the same lineup every game. We did not have one injury, and that doesn't happen very often, in college sports and stuff. But going back to some of the players, probably the best was Robinson from Navy.
Oh, David Robinson.
Robinson, yeah. I think we held him to 36 or 30.
They say y'all held him to 36?
12 or 14. He may have had 16. Boy, he was just phenomenal. That's the only way to describe himself. But I'd have to say he was probably the best that first year anyway. So,
Did you tell any of your players he's probably the best player they ever gonna see?
Well, we knew he was really good. He was actually better than what we anticipated. Sometimes players do that. Speaking of scouting that you asked about, and the other assistants did it too. I just kind of organized it. We'd each pick different teams, but the tough thing at that time, and probably still, is you go. And back then, we actually traveled. We'd go to Ole Miss or Mississippi State or whatever in city games. But you watch them play somebody, and then trying to project how they would play against the Cats, and that was the tough thing because about everybody turned it up 2 notches when they played us. And that made scouting kind of tough. Coach come back and say, well, you didn't tell me Oscar could score 25 points. I said, Coach, he only scored 6. The night I saw it. So anyway, that kind of made scouting a little bit tough back then.
So to bring it up to current times, UK just got a new head coach, and Mark Pope, who's a former UK basketball player as well. Talk to me. Well, we're gonna get to Coach Cal in a minute. What's your thoughts on the temperature and the state of UK basketball currently, right now, as we speak?
Well, you got to really have to Mitch Barnard to go out and bring in somebody like Mark Pope, and especially this late. And there were some really, I thought, some really outstanding coaches available. Of course, the one goes to Michigan. They kind of went different places, and those people were all kind of gone. When Coach Cal decided to go to Arkansas, so to come up with the candidates that he did, and to I'm just kind of big on hires being a good fit. There's a lot of great basketball coaches that probably would not be a good fit for the University of Kentucky because of the uniqueness of it. But I think Mitch Barnard, by going with Mark, came up with a great fit, and in a late stage of hiring a basketball coach. Well, Coach, I'm not sure at this time he could have hired anybody that would have been better than Coach Pope.
Well, Coach, Oscar here with you. There's a conspiracy going on out there that says Calipari left when he did to leave Mitch Barnhart in the lurch, knowing it was going to be late to get a coach. What are your thoughts about that conspiracy being circulated?
I don't agree. I really think, and very seldom this ever happens in college sports. Again, I've been around a long time, where everything worked out the best for everybody involved. There's no way Coach Cal would know that Arkansas was coming available until the 2 days after it happened. He may have known that Musselman was looking, something like that. So, but that all happened late for most of them to move. So I just think that to say that all happened intentionally, I don't give any credit to that, because there's just too many factors that you'd have to control for that to happen. And I was really happy for Coach Calipari to get that opportunity. But he made a great statement that I think we probably all agree with, is that the UK basketball program needed a new voice, and to be able for him to go and get an opportunity like Arkansas, and then for UK to get a new voice. Very seldom those things all work out that way.
All right, Coach. This is Ralph again. Just staying with Coach Cal. Just give me an overall, just what you thought about his 15 years here at UK. I mean, he came here in March of 2009. High expectations. He did bring us a championship. He's got to see some great players play in UK uniform. Just give me an overall, what your thoughts are, being a former coach, of what you thought of Coach Cal's 15 years here.
How many championships you bring down?
One.
Oh, okay.
That was sarcasm.
Don't. But yeah, just give me your thoughts on Coach Cal and his 15 years here at Kentucky.
One thing that a lot of fans, y'all may be aware of it, a lot of fans forgot how bad this program was when Coach Cal took over. It had hit rock bottom. One of the worst hires in collegiate sports, in my opinion.
Now,
Coach Billy
Coach,
Gillespie at the university.
Coach, I need you to say that again, because Quentin's over here throwing out sarcasm. Say that one more time. Where was the program when Calipari come here? Did you say rock bottom?
I didn't think so, because
as a Kentucky fan,
I thought Kentucky was in perfect prime position. They was perfect where they were supposed to be. I think they should have gave Billy G a contract extension, but that's just me.
See, Coach, this is where the sarcasm kicks in. You're speaking with a North Carolina fan who wants to see Kentucky do nothing but lose.
No, I want to see them do great, just not better than North Carolina.
Please don't listen to his words. Please don't take it serious.
Pay no attention to what he's telling you.
That's just my view. So he in some ways, I kind of compare it to with Coach Pope coming in, that we needed somebody like Calipari to be a great marketer, which he is, and then be a great recruiter, and to put new blood, in, so to speak, into the program. And he accomplished that in a fairly short time. And fortunately, we all were able to see some great basketball players that put on the Kentucky uniform and stuff. Anytime you win a national championship, I just don't think people realize how difficult that is. And to quote Coach Sutton, he would say, first of all, you got to be a great team, and second of all, you have to have a little luck, because it depends a lot on your seeding. And then third, you got to get a few really lucky calls. And so it's tough.
Now, Coach, I want to ask you to do something that very few coaches would like to do, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Looking at what Coach Cal did in the last 2 seasons, what do you see as his trials and tribulations in getting the program beyond or making a deep run in the NCAA tournament? What do you see as his challenge?
Getting them out the first round.
Line is the game changed. There's not. Not so much the game, but the whole situation changed once the transfer portal hit, and then of course the NIL deal. And my opinion is Coach Calipari didn't adjust quick enough and understand that all of a sudden you're playing against 24-year-olds and some 25 and 23, and the one and done. I think he stuck with that probably a couple of years longer than he should have. But really, if you remember, over the last say 10 years, even how great some of these people were, to win far in the NCAA, it was tough on them not having an experienced team. So,
Well, Coach, it sounds like.
and I just don't think Coach was changed as quickly as he should have.
Well, Coach, it sounds like you're saying that the game passed Calipari by quicker than he expected it to.
I think the whole situation did, and consequently, the one thing that I criticize Coach Cal myself is that I think he needed help with game preparation and in-game situations.
Not to ask you.
And he has all the resources in the world. And let me paraphrase that. My budget for hiring an assistant coach was $3,000. And I got lucky. I hired a great assistant coach for $3,000 because I had some weaknesses that I needed help on, and this guy probably saved my career. And Coach needed help in the last 4 or 5 years, and I don't think he brought in people to help him. And I think that's what happened to the program because you couldn't just put the best talent out there and think you were going to play hard and still win. Because in the last, say, 5 or 6 years, there are a bunch of teams with talent out there. And I don't think Coach adjusted quickly as he should. So that would be my criticism.
Hey, Coach, I want to continue on with this Coach Cal coaching because I have a couple more questions about how you feel about, Coach Cal and his coaching strategies. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick commercial break on Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9. When we come back, we will have more with former UK men's basketball assistant Doug Barnes and owner of Papa Lock. And we're going to get into some Coach Cal and more to come on Beyond the Game. Yeah, buddy. I was about to get into that coaching.
Yeah, I saw your eyes lighting up.
Mm-hmm. I got all my coaching cards. Yeah. Let's see if I can get him to get messy real quick.
That's what I was trying to ask him about. He wouldn't bite.
Okay.
He bit a little bit. Just gave that more professional answer.
Yeah. See, I talked to him off air. He gets raw.
Yeah.
But then that's off air between me and
him. He can't show everybody your ugly side.
I might see if I can pull it out of him.
You know how it is. Some people tell you something privately, they ain't gonna say publicly.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
I totally agree with that.
What you talking about?
I was thinking the same thing. What are you listening to?
Welcome back to Beyond the Game on WLXU 93.9 FM. We are still chatting it up with former UK men's basketball coach Doug Barnes and owner of Papa Lock. Before we took a commercial break, we were talking about Coach Cal and his coaching. Now, Coach Barnes, while we got you on the line, you talked about, I'm sorry, what was that?
I think it was echo.
Oh, was it echo? Okay. So, Coach, is my echo coming through?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that coming from? I don't know what that's about. But anyways, Coach, I want to talk about Coach Cal because there's been a lot of controversy about Cal's coaching strategies at the end of the ball games. They feel like, he gets out-coached a lot of the times. In your honest opinion, what do you think Coach Cal's coaching weaknesses are?
Well, I mean, what am I talking about? A guy that won 700 games or something like that, or 800? I don't know.
800.
You say 800 games?
800 even.
Trust me, that's a few more than I won too. But I am a fan, so I guess that gives me the right to have an opinion, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's absolutely. And you used to coach at UK. You more than qualified. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, I it just always, I just felt like, well, let me back up. Some of this is just my opinion, stuff that when I played for Mr. Well, I sat on the bench for Mr. High, but coaches didn't run up and down the sideline. They sat over there and coached and stuff. And see, I felt like Coach Calipari running up and down, screaming and hollering, that he missed things going on during the action. Okay, and I say that, I was the head coach, and I had a graduate assistant for a couple of years, and it amazed me that during the games there would be things happen that I didn't see. But this was kind of one of my former players, and he said, "Hey, coach, and my point is, I think there's just so much stuff going on out there during a game that even the sharpest, which I wasn't, but even the sharpest of coaches miss." And, when I worked with Coach Sutton, whoever scouted, say, Alabama, sat next to him, and his top assistant sat the other, and then he would assign each of us during the game certain things. Like he said, "Doug, you got the defensive boards. You watch that. Wayne, you got the offensive boards," or whatever. We'd all have assignments, and during the game, I felt like he was kind of like a computer. We were inputting this information, and so when the timeout came, he had this information, and he would bam, 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 and see. If you're running up and down that sideline, you're not getting any input. And not anybody said this, but if you remember Coach Patino, I blame him because he's one of the first I saw do that. And then everybody kind of started doing it. But Coach Patino, in my opinion, there were times that he missed things. A long time ago, remember Dwayne Casey?
Yes,
sir.
Dwayne and I were watching the game. It was down in the Final Four or something. I think it was against Michigan. And there were some things happening in the second and the first half that Dwayne and I are yelling at the screen. And the bottom line, I don't think Coach Patino saw it, because we were lucky. I mean, we were sitting in a hotel room, looking at TV. But anyway, but Coach Patino brought in Jim O'Brien as assistant the next year. And when he brought Jim up there, he started sitting down and he was talking to Jim O'Brien all the time. And I think that's when he even got stronger at game type situations. And I just think there's too much going on out there for one person, regardless of how sharp you are, to make the adjustments that a head coach has got to make.
Did you watch the game against Oakland? UK's game against Oakland?
I did.
Okay, so I got a question, Coach Barnes. You said that you and Dwayne Casey would be yelling at the games, at things that y'all seen in the first half. So what were y'all yelling at the screen when UK was watching Oakland? What was you yelling at the screen?
Well, trust me, Case is watching on a lot nicer TV than I am at this point in life and stuff. But the frustrating thing in watching that game was, in my opinion, we did not have a clue how to attack a matchup zone.
There we go.
And again, going back to my situation, I just got very fortunate to bring in a person who there was a coach in Indiana named Bill Green, and he was kind of the master of the matchup zone, and he wrote a book on it. And so this assistant, we put the matchup zone in about my fourth year, and it probably saved my job because we're in a league that was 90% pressure man-to-man, a lot of quick athletes, and that kind of gave us a little edge because it was different. And so the Oakland ran a matchup zone, and the things that UK chose to do against that, it just falls right into your hands. Whenever you're trying to attack a matchup zone and you keep the three perimeter people still, you're running really like a man-to-man matchup zone because it makes the matchup really, really easy. And we didn't send any cutters through. And if you send covers through the lane, now if you're doing a matchup, you got to figure out which guy to cover, and you kind of put them on the edge. We never sent anybody through from the perimeter and just fell right into their hands. Of course, the other thing they did is and it's smart. They said, you got to beat us on the inside with your inside people. And let's face it, that really wasn't our strength. So I didn't see us going back to yelling at TV, coming out the second half, I didn't see us change anything, And everybody talks about the defense in that game because that guy scored a bunch of points. Well, defense hurt us, but what the problem was, we couldn't score. And anyway, that's what I would have been yelling. And I think it goes back to, Coach Cal does not believe in his own defense, and I don't sure he knows how to teach it. And if you know those things, you're going to know the things that hurt the zone defense. And I felt like we didn't attack that zone defense at all.
I'm in total. This is Ralph again, Coach. So I'm in total agreement with a lot of things you said. At the end of the day, that was my biggest thing with Coach Cal. I understand he was a great recruiter. I understand he was able to build a nice roster with great players. But I just felt like at the end of the day, he didn't coach those players. I just felt like he didn't put the players in the best position to succeed, become better players, or know what to do in crunch time as far as in-game adjustments. So I'm in total agreement with you. So I'm just looking forward into maybe next season. Just give me an early prediction. Do you see Arkansas? Do you see Kentucky beating Arkansas next year? Or what do you think will happen in that Pope versus Calipari first matchup?
Well, I don't know about that, and I have not watched Coach Pope's teams other than just watch the film. But listen to him speak about things. I'd be surprised. Number one, and of course he was under Coach Pitino, and Coach Pitino prepared well for games, in my opinion. And so I'll be surprised if Coach Pope doesn't have his team, the opponent well scouted and have a good game plan. Of course, what I don't know is how during the game is how well he will adjust. But I'd be surprised if he doesn't have a pretty good feel of the game and to make the right adjustments. That was kind of my complaint to Coach Cal, is I just didn't think, to me, there were things just very, very obvious, and we didn't change. And I'm hoping Coach Pope, and that's my hope, that he'll be able to make those. Because what's happened is, everybody's got great players now, and if you're not doing those things, you're going to have trouble against those teams. And I just think it's required this day and time, if you're going to have a winning program like you should at UK, you got to be on the top of your game in doing those things.
All right, Coach, I got one more, but this is kind of a two-part question. So one of the last players left from Coach Cal's team is Reed Sheppard. Honestly, has a chance to be a top 10 pick in this year's NBA draft. So two-part question. Do you think that Reed will come back? Also, if you were someone that can advise Reed or give your opinion on what his next step should be, would you encourage him to go? So two-part question. Do you think he's coming back? And if it was you advising Reed, what would you advise him to do? To go ahead and go or to come back?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I hope he comes back. I did enjoy playing. Well, I think the key is where he goes in the draft. Of course, the good news, you can see, where you're going to, whether you're going to be a lottery pick or you're going to be out of the lottery picks. And if he's a lottery pick, it's just hard to turn down that money and stuff. But if he's not a lottery pick, then he's got some pretty good NIL money, I would assume. And it's just, I think that's what it all depends. But I think the fact that the style that Coach Pope at least has talked about and did at BYU really fits into Reed's strengths and stuff. And I think that Coach Pope runs some different type of defenses other than just man-to-man. And, of course, that's one of Reed's weaknesses. So The good news is I think he's going to have some great options, and he probably deserves those. But selfishly, I'm hoping that he decides to stay in because I think being a Kentucky young man is that's a big thing for him, and I'm just hoping he ends up doing it that way if the other doesn't happen.
Well, Coach Oscar, back with you. You took some pretty made some pretty honest, hard remarks about Calipari's ability and inabilities. And there are a lot of people who would say to you, if you think you can do better, you step on the sideline and coach. You being retired now, do we see you coaching in the future?
Oh, wow. No, I'm just so grateful that I'm not with all the things going on now and stuff. But and I will admit, being on the sidelines, I'm a lot wiser being an analyst. I'm a lot wiser than I was when I was a coach. It's amazing how when you make that move, you get a lot smarter, as you notice. But
so being armchair coaches, would you prefer to be in the armchair, coaching from the armchair?
I'm excited about the coming year. I think the program needed a new voice and needed some new excitement. And I think and hope that Coach Pope can match the experience and the knowledge to pull that off and stuff. And so I'm a lot more excited with him leading us going into next year than I would be if Coach Cal was here.
Woo! Yeah. Hey, I love that.
Yeah. We got hope in Pope.
We do. There was an initial shock factor. A lot of people didn't understand the hire, but after that wore off, I'm in full support.
You all in?
Full support.
Hope with Pope.
Well, Coach, how do you feel? What are your thoughts about the turnout at Rupp Arena? 23 some odd thousand people there for a press conference.
It was cute.
Not a scrimmage or a practice or nothing like Big Blue Madness, but for a press conference.
What's Big Blue Madness?
What does that mean? What does that say about the UK men's basketball program?
Show up. I mean, this just goes to show you how special it is. There's just not very many like that. I was shocked that many. I mean, I thought 3,000 or 4,000 that you'd be there and stuff. But when I saw that crowd, we're watching on television, I just go, wow. That's the thing about Big Blue Nation. There's some programs that won a bunch of games, and they have great support. But I think there's only probably one Big Blue Nation that's that big and stuff. And one thing I want to leave with is that it's the reason I think there may have been better coaches out there than Coach Pope or some that we may or may not be able to get. But I'm really big in coaches hires being a good fit. And I think Coach Pope at this time is a tremendous fit for the program. And I'll be very surprised if he doesn't have the tremendous success. And it'll be good for the University of Kentucky and for the state of Kentucky.
So, Coach, if I understand Mitch Barnhart, the athletic director at UK, if I understand him correctly, it wasn't about getting the best coach out there. It was about getting the best fit.
Absolutely.
The thing that I thought Coach Pope said it's come to be my philosophy, and this is where the UK fans kind of get it wrong, I think. It's not recruiting all 5-star recruits. You got to have talent, but it's in recruiting for a program, you have to find the ones that fit your program the best. It may be a 1-star, but it may be your best athlete that you need to complete the team, if that makes sense. And the ones that will buy into your program and that and the culture that you have, that's how you build a team. It's not necessarily getting the number 5 stars recruits. They may be the best players, but it may not be a good fit for what your philosophy is and what you're doing. Now, don't get me wrong, you got to have talent if you're going to win at this level.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of talented people. You just need to make sure it's the ones that match your culture and the things that you're trying to do with your team.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that old car commercial slogan. We don't just fit rematch or however it goes.
Hey, Coach Barnes, while we got you on the line, I have a question from one of our Facebook users who's watching the show. His name is Sean Gert. He said he wants your thoughts about the evolution of the game and spreading the floor in all 5 positions, being able to shoot threes. What's your thoughts on the evolution of basketball and all of this 3-point shooting that's going on right now?
Well, you know, we would probably, the first year that I was there, but so Kenny Walker probably had something to do with that 3-point shot getting put in. We were on television a lot that first year, and everybody just started putting 3 people on Kenny, and just clamming in. Of course, the talk had been before, but I think it was immediately the next year that they came out with the 3-point shot. I think it's probably one of the best things that's happened in college basketball, and I think it took coaches a while to adapt to it, and I think Rick was one of the first that did adapt to it, and I think now it's kind of been redefined in that even big men, like Big Z and those people, and I understand Coach Pope, he runs a lot of his offense through the postman being like a point guard. And I just think it's made the game a lot more exciting, a lot more enjoyable to watch. And I think it's been a great move for college basketball.
Now, y'all talked about it, y'all said it was 23,000 people to see Coach Pope be introduced at the press conference, which was real cute. But what I want to know is, since
Tobacco Road could never.
It seems like there's been a civil war amongst UK fans for the last 2 weeks. So it's still ongoing at this point. So it makes me want to ask you this question, Coach Barnes. Those 23,000 people that came, were they there to support the new coach, or was this a way of showing Coach Cal, we don't need you here? What do you think?
Well, I don't think so. I think it was a celebration and a chance for a new beginning, kind of for the program, and to. I just think it was.
He was thinking the same thing. That's why he started laughing.
The last 4 or maybe 5 years is not been good for the UK fan. And
I was going to ask you about what he thinks about transfer portal.
Right or wrong, they want a winning team, and I think there's more of a celebration of a change, and I think it was. I thought they'd have a little crowd. I think I sure underestimated the need of the Big Blue Nation to have some hope and some excitement about the future, and I think that's what that was all about.
Well, Coach Oscar, back with you. I want to ask along that line, with Pope being the head coach now, and the fan support he seems to have gotten this past Sunday, do you feel like Coach Pope would do well? I think I've forgotten my question, and I do apologize. Or does the fan base expect him to do equally as well as Calipari, or do they expect him to do better? Because Pope said he understands the mission. So I guess my question is, did Calipari along the way forget what the mission was?
He just had his, the thing I didn't like was the emphasis on the NBA, and that's just me personally and stuff. And I think he didn't in the statement that he made, I can't remember what year, about the best day ever in history UK. I think they had 3 or 4 number 1 picks or something. Well, and that, I just think it started going down from there because, I think it's great all these people have had success and stuff, but the program's about winning national championships and winning games, and I just felt like he kind of lost that. I would like to say one thing too. I'm really happy that I want to go on record. I'm really sorry and sad that Kenny Payne didn't make it well at Louisville because I don't know Kenny, but everybody. I mean, he's a great person, a great business, great assistant. I just wish that it happened to do it. But with that said, I think they made a good hire. He wasn't the best out there probably, but he seems to be really a good fit and says all the right things and has a lot of energy. And I think he's reached out to the former players. And I think it's important for both programs to be successful. I think it's good for the state of Kentucky and good for the basketball in the state. And so believe it or not, I'm actually kind of rooting for them to do well too. And I think it helps everybody. Now, don't get me wrong. I want us to beat them, but I think it's good to have both programs being very competitive. And I think it's good for the state of Kentucky.
So you're happy that Pope, as he said, understands what the assignment is. And unfortunately, in my viewpoint, it seems like Calipari forgot what the assignment was. I think he thought the assignment was to bring in top flight high school kids and kids out of the portal and get them prepared for the NBA. That's not the assignment here.
I agree. That would be my complaint and then my evaluation of it. And I think that's where he kind of lost touch, and probably rightly so with the Big Blue Nation, because that's the least. I mean, they want good players, and they want you to, but they also want you to win, and they want it to be about the program, not about being an NBA minor league and stuff. And I think the advantage of Mark, I think he understands that and is going to approach it different, and I think that will be a lot better for Big Blue Nation. Now, one other thing I think the average fan doesn't realize, times have changed. And, 15 years ago or even 10 years ago, UK had a really big advantage in talent. But boy, I tell you now, there's just talent all over the country. And it's going to be, you're not going to dominate like UK once did. And you can be a great coach and great players and still not do the same. But you should be competitive, and you should be able to go further in the NCAA tournaments in the first round.
Yeah,
and I think that
Coach, I remember
hopefully
with Kenny. Well, Coach, I had a conversation with Kenny Walker not too many years ago, who told me when UK was warming up on the court there, bro, that when he played for you and Eddie Sutton, Coach Sutton, that he can look across the half-court line and see fear in the opponent's eyes before the ball was even thrown up to play. And has Kentucky lost that mystique?
Oh, that's been gone.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coach Barnes.
No, I agree. I think it's just because everybody's gotten bigger. By the way, did Kenny tell you that I helped him with his jumping?
No, but next time I see him, I'll ask him about that and see what he has to say.
Need to ask him. The coach helped him with his. Well, I tell you what, I never seen anybody that could jump as high and get back up and jump as high as Kenny.
When I did talk to Kenny about that ability, he said he wanted to be greater than David Thompson in terms of being a leaping.
Oh, that ain't gonna happen. No,
He did that.
No, not David Thompson. No, not David Thompson. No, David Thompson is the guy your GOAT looked up to. So I don't think he got David Thompson.
Oh, Coach, what'd you say about all that?
Well, trust me, Kenny, you could not have had I was very the good news, I didn't tell Kenny anything. So I didn't want to mess with his game and stuff. But Kenny, he had a God-given talent to with his leaping ability, but he was such a hard worker. And when you add that with the great talents that he had, and I think Kenny had a bad break in the pros. He just never got with the right coach and the right team, and I think that's a lot of times careers in the pros, and obviously you probably know, is getting a good fit in that and stuff. But I felt fortunate that I at least got to sit on the same bench as Kenny did and marvel at the way he played the game of basketball.
Now, Coach, you also had Winston Bennett on your squad. And I remember talking to Kenny about Bennett when they was in one of the practices, and Bennett complained about Kenny practicing too hard. And Kenny Kenny complained about Winston practicing too hard. And Winston told me, if you're going to suit up and lace them up, strap up and get your game on. Now, is any of that true about Winston Bennett being hardcore?
Yeah, he was a competitor. And, Winston, of course, he was so strong, but, he really wasn't that tall. And he had to go against some big folks. And trust me, they didn't want, by the time the game was over, they were glad the game was over because Winston, he would wear them out. So he was a great competitor. And one thing else I want to say, that the team at that first year, how Ed Dabner was really a great guard that probably never got the credit and stuff. Of course, James Blackman with his talent that he had, and Roger Harden was kind of the right person to balance all that. Of course, he at that time he was a senior and very knowledgeable, but that's the reason that team won 32 games.
Well, Coach,
that was a great combination of talent and really hard workers.
Coach, I gotta say, back then you had some ballers, as they say.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, so nowadays,
and really, our defense was so tough, and just because those guys are so competitive, and they were great athletes.
Okay, we're gonna have Mr. Bennett on next week, and we'll see what he has to say about what you're saying.
And if I have time, I got to tell you this frustration of mine that we got beat by LSU in the finals of the regionals, and we had beaten them 3 times during the season, and going into that game, Coach Brown, who I've gotten to know, since he retired, I don't think he ever got the credit for being as good a coach as he was. A great recruiter, but he was a pretty good coach.
Okay, Coach, I got it. Before we get out of here, because time's running short on us, and I'm sorry about that. But I got to ask you. Yeah.
We couldn't attack it.
Yeah, I believe you told me not too long ago that right now in your stage in life, you're just sitting back, enjoying watching games on TV, and not having to sweat coaching. So tell us what it is you're doing now. I know you're playing a little golf and you're doing a lot of tennis also. What are you doing these days?
Number one, I have Pop Lock's a franchise, and I have a franchise. This is my 29th year in Lexington, and then also in Louisville and Southern Indiana. So I've got that. It's kind of like having a team and stuff. And then I am fortunate that I can still play tennis 3 or 4 times a week. But and we're also fortunate we have a place in Sea Pines, Hilton Head. So we spend about 4.5 to 5 months down there, not during the summer and stuff. So I'm really, really fortunate and blessed that I can live that kind of life at this stage. I appreciate it. And one of the best things I ever did was to move to Lexington, Kentucky, and to stay here after I got out of coaching, because in my opinion, it's just a great part of the country to live in.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your appreciation. I also appreciate Papa Lock. I got to say that personally.
Papa Lock has definitely saved me a time or two. But Coach Barnes, we do appreciate you giving us an hour of your time.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. And then hopefully this time next year we're talking about championships, okay?
Yes, sir, Coach Barnes. Yes, sir.
Sounds like a plan.
Don't hold your breath. But Coach Barnes, thank you so much for giving us some of your time, sir.
Hey, Coach, we're going to take Quentin and throw him out on the street.
Yeah, we got to get rid of him, man.
We're going to throw him out there and hope the next tram bus hits him.
Thanks, Coach Barnes.
Thank you, man.
All right. That was Coach Barnes, former UK men's assistant basketball coach under Eddie Sutton. Make sure you guys, before we get out of here, make sure you guys download the podcast on all major podcast streaming platforms. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, KY Beyond the Game. We getting ready to get on up out of here. As always, treat somebody how you want somebody to treat your mama. We up at this thing, y'all. Peace.
OG Oscar come through again, man.
So, Winston Bennett next week, he confirmed earlier.
That's cool. We'll be looking forward to it.
Is he calling in or is he coming in?
Calling.
He's calling in? Okay.
Well, he wanted to know if he had the option. I told him he'd be calling in.
Okay.
He still living in Louisville.
Come up here.